We came so far from dreams. The path was hard for me. They thought we fall, you see. Well, look at us now, look at us now. We make it hot when we on the scene. Yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team. Yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around. You know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we. Tell me who better than we. We soaring to places you never could reach. When we walk in that spot, don't hear none of you speak. Shh, do you want peace or the peace? A king about to put you to sleep. Listen, my team is elite. You not even qualified to compete. He starving, he barely can eat. I guess that's why he always itching for beef. So I put him on ice and I told him to chill. Close your mouth if you can't pay for the meal. Making statements that you know you don't mean. Nice guy trying to act like he mean. Keep it a buck, keep it a bean. Attitudes will put you dudes in the beam. Isekai, he don't live in reality. Shake back off, become a fatality. Yeah, how you gon' hate when you mirror us? He think he a star, he ain't serious. X him out, we not on the same frequency. If you broke, you ain't hearing us. Work the screw, anime, that's how I feel, period. We winning, that's making them furious. We make it high when we on the scene, yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team, yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around, you know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we.
Yo, what it do, guys? It is your boy, Liam Mookie here, and today's the day. Today is one of the few last new what ifs I'll be doing for this channel. My ad revenue is basically starting to go back to what it used to be, so I should be back in business in the next couple of weeks or so, hopefully. Then after that, I'll be reposting a lot of my old what ifs back on the channel, while still basically keeping my new what ifs up to date as well. So yeah, at any rate, as for this new what if, this is what if Izuku can become Vanguard units from Cardfight Vanguard. And yeah, this was the what if that I was chosen. And some of you may be wondering, but Leon, you made a poll. You said that the one that was first place was going to be the what if that you would base the card game around Izuku. If you thought that, then you were dead wrong. Honestly, the real basically poll or decisions was not that of the poll. It was basically a drop to see if you guys wanted me to continue doing what if summoning what ifs. And yeah, I was completely dead on. Seriously, I hate being right from time to time. If anything, the real winner was basically Vanguard from the start. Look, guys, it's not that I won't do that of the Shadowverse what if in the future. It's just that it's going to take its time before they do. So yeah, I'm sorry. It's a real shame that Chaotic didn't get the, high enough viewers. I was actually hoping that one was going to win. But given that the card game was tied to 4Kids Entertainment, and I think people want to forget 4Kids, even myself, kind of makes sense. So yeah, at any rate, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? Men are not created equal. These are words that I've learned back all the way when I was 5 years old. Who may I be? I am Izuku Midoriya. You would think it would be crazy for a child at the age of 5 to understand what those words mean so early. This is the reason why. Currently, in that of a small park lies that of two kids. One little boy that's basically on the ground crying and holding that of his arm, while another boy in that of wearing that of red shoes and also having that, as he also has that of messy green hair and emerald green eyes, as he's basically standing almost like that in a fighter's, stance, but quite amateurish, to be honest. Not only that, he's even shaking and somewhat worried, but then saying, "Please, Kachan, that's enough. Don't you see that you're hurting him?" But then, soon, in front of that of the two boys, being three other kids, as these three kids are a little bit different from the ones in front. The reason being, the two kids in the very back, one kid that's basically wearing that of a, ball cap, so basically backwards. However, once he brings up that of his hands, his fingers begin to extend. As for that of the other boy in the back, he's basically a pretty big boy with that of a somewhat shaved head, not entirely. However, what stands out is that of his red wings. And last but not least, the boy in front, which shows a lot more, well, detail to him, as he has that of ashen blonde spiky hair, with that wearing that of a t-shirt with that looks like that of a discounted skull on it. And he having that of a smile that basically says, "You're in for a world of pain," as he slams his fist in the palm of his hands, within saying, "Sorry, Deku, but you had this coming, thinking that you can stand in front of me after all and tell me what to do." As opening his eyes, he has that of crimson red eyes, almost like the color of blood. Funny fact, that's exactly what he wants to see right now. As the green net boy is basically terrified out of his mind as all three of them rush towards him, within soon in that of a matter of only that of a few minutes, the young boy basically is singed, beaten, bruised, and laying on that of the park ground, look completely and utterly in pain. And you may be wondering, why didn't he fight back? Oh, he definitely tried. Oh, he tried. But what can you do when you don't even know what your own quirk is? Speaking of quirks, that is exactly what the abilities that those boys had. Quirks are basically superpowers, meta abilities that were given to that of humanity over 200 years ago. It all started with that of a glowing baby in China. After that, quirks began to pop up almost anywhere for that of children, mainly around the age of 3 to 4, 5 at its latest. Hell, there are even times when quirks awaken at the age of 10 to at least 12, which are called late bloomers. Ever since the emergence of quirks, humanity has been trying to study them and understand them. Some people want to use their quirks to help out others and save lives, while others, a select few, begin to use their quirks for their own selfish means, for their own wants and desires. All just because. Because of this status quo change, it created a new profession and a new danger into the world. This being heroes and villains. The heroes, otherwise known as pro-heroes, focus on protecting, saving people while also defeating villains and helping out the police solve cases that are too out of their depth for them. While villains are basically those who use their quirks without permission to do whatever they wish with them and even hurt those around them as well. However, sometimes that line up between a villain and a misunderstood person is quite blurry from time to time, but that's for another time of explanation. Because of this, the world began to change and shift into a new day of age, the age of heroes. And it's all thanks to one man who kept one nation entirely safe for 12 years. 12 years straight. This is All Might, the number one hero of Japan and the symbol of peace. The man that basically admired heroes from even all across the world to rise up and become something more of themselves. It's even said that the current number one hero of America, Stars and Stripes, was also inspired by All Might as well. It is because of this man that everybody strives to become a pro-hero, strives to want to become what he is, either be good or bad. But all the same, the whole world changed because of All Might. And I'm no exception. You may be wondering, who am I? I am Izuku Midoriya, the same boy that also got his butt kicked by that of my former friends. I always wanted to be a hero just like him. It's because of that I always watched his debut video in Japan, always back when I was a little kid. I always inspired to be something similar to him. And because of that, I never wanted anything more was to be a hero at the time. So even so, I made a vow a vow that when the day I got my own quirk, I would become a hero. A hero that saves and protects people just like All Might. Unfortunately, the world has other plans. Either be good or bad, however you see it. The young boy, Izuku Midoriya, currently in and out of the hospital, with then, soon, a doctor saying, "Sorry kid, that's not gonna happen." Within, blinking multiple times and looking up complete and utter shock, as then, a young woman that looks like at least in that of her late 20s or early 30s, with the similar green hair as that of Izuku, putting out of a ponytail, as she wears that of a long pink shirt with that of a long blue skirt that goes all the way down to that of her knees, with then saying, "What do you mean, doctor?" As the doctor being that of a somewhat balding, but also in yellow mechanical wearing glasses with a bushy mustache, could help but say, "Well, I'm not completely sure for certain, actually. This is the first time I'm actually quite stumped for once, and I'm actually quite a specialist in my field. There are quirks are always coming out of three types, that being emitter, transform, and mutant type quirks. Your son's quirk, on the other hand, it said it's supposed to be a mixture of a transform and emitter type quirk, actually, with a dash of mutation added onto it as well, which is basically impossible. Quirks only come in that of one type. If you can't have both, and looking at both of you and your husband's, have that of second gen quirks, which are not that strong, but are still practical, though, you would think that your son would have a quirk similar to the both of you, would have at least one similar to one parent, or a mix of the two. There are rare cases wherein it's basically different from both parents, and it's a complete and total mutation of the genes, which is similar to which is currently right now. You see, little Izuku's quirk here is a mutation. However, it's a mysterious one that I can't put my finger on, actually. Even for somebody as my skills, I don't know the activation or the trigger for the young man's quirk, or how it works. All I could say is that it's all three categories, and that there has to be a trigger for it. It would be a lot more easier for me to just tell you that it's basically a mix of both either emitter or transform or mutant and emitter, which makes it easier for us to find out what your son's quirk truly is. But now, this is the first time I'm truly stumped. So, I have to say, without knowing what his quirk is, it's impossible for him to even become a hero. With then, Izuku dropping that of his All Might action figure, as then Inko couldn't help but say, "Please, can you do even more tests? Could you figure out?" With then, the bushy mustache doctor couldn't help but say, "Well, we can, but who knows on how long this would take. And even if we do find a trigger for it, who knows on how rare the trigger would be. It could even be something completely unfeasible, basically making it a complete and total useless quirk, unfortunately." As then, Inko couldn't help but narrow her eyes at that of the doctor, within the doctor seeing that of the narrow-eyed woman, saying, "But we will at least try some more tests. Best we can do is take at least a few of his blood samples and figure something out. I promise you, ma'am, we'll figure out what your son's quirk truly is. I promise." With that, Inko couldn't help but say, "I hope so, doctor." As she looks at her son, still completely stupefied, within them heading back home, just as before, as she puts on that of All Might's debut video on the computer again. Within, she was about to leave the room before Izuku saying, "Mama, he's a cool hero, right?" Within, as looking at that of All Might smiling, and out of the video once again, saving as many people as he can, no matter what. Always smiling, always there for others. Even if if I don't, even if I don't know what my quirk is, do you still think I can become a hero? As Izuku tries to smile while tears basically running down his eyes, as soon Inko also began crying as well and hugging Izuku, saying, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Izuku. As she tries her best to comfort her son, even though it does nothing for this young kid. And since then, Izuku's life has become somewhat, well, a living hell as a kid. When telling that of his childhood friend and best friend, Katsuki Bakugo, the same boy from earlier, with that of the explosion quirk, let's just say that he basically called him useless Deku, as always. Especially putting that of his name Deku to that of blank wooden, the kanji for that of blank wooden doll. Yeah, just says it all. Somebody who doesn't even know what his quirk does is basically a Deku. It also didn't help that a certain incident in that of the woods basically forced their friendship to be utterly imploded on itself. Mainly because of Bakugo constantly being praised by that of kids around him alongside that of the adults as well, causing him to have that of one huge ass ego and arrogant to the point that he saw himself as the future best, saw himself to be determined to be the best no matter what. And seeing somebody like Izuku, one who doesn't even know what his quirk even is, no different from being quirkless, trying to help him, in his eyes, it's being seen as being looked down upon. And since then, Bakugo, alongside that of his friend, of Izuku's former friends and his lackeys, basically began to belittle and look down on him. Even that of other kids from that of their, preschool and elementary school begin to get in all the fun. Always making fun of him with even the teachers not doing anything to stop this. As of course, this is Japan after all, one of the biggest countries with that of the bystander effect. All they do is watch instead of stepping in and stopping it after all. This was Izuku's early life going on. However, all that changed. A week after his 10th birthday, Izuku was heading to that of his local card shop, which today was having that of a special. They were selling that of limited edition hero cards, and there were only that of 5 of his all-time favorite hero. That hero, no other, was All Might. And of course, Bakugo was there as well, alongside their lackeys, as of course they also wanted the same All Might card, even though they had cards of other pro heroes at the time, such as that of Endeavor, the number 2 hero who's just as popular, but not as popular as All Might though. An up-and-coming pro hero that's blitzing through that of the hero scene, Best Genius, alongside that of another pro hero who is still fresh out of that of the most prestigious hero school in Japan that both All Might and Endeavor went to alongside Best Genius as well, known as Edgeshot, who's blitzing his way through that of the hero rankings too. But every kid, no matter their gender or age, everybody always wants All Might. Heading to that of the card shop however, Bakugo, alongside that of his lackeys, were there too, as it isn't the first time that, they ran into each other like that. I mean, originally, used to hang out a lot here back when they were at least that of 3 to 4 years old, but now, not a chance. With Izuku basically having to wait for Bakugo and his lackeys to leave. With Bakugo basically showing that he got the limited edition All Might card. With both of his lackeys basically, praising him for having such an amazing card. With Bakugo basically even showing more that him having this card proves that he's destined to become the next number 1 hero, just like and greater than All Might. Hearing all this, even Izuku couldn't help but agree, but part of him just wants to, help congratulate Bakugo as well, but given how much their friendship has changed, and they're not the same person that they used to be. Easier said than done, as they say. Soon, Bakugo's lackeys begin leaving as they plan on heading to that of a nearby arcade, with Izuku hiding away as much as he can to make sure that they didn't notice him. Soon, Izuku basically looking back at the back of his old friends, also heading into that of the card shop too, as then the store owner saying, "Oh, little Midoriya, it's good to see you again." Saying, "Yeah, I was wondering, do you..." I figured as much. Unfortunately, little Bakugo and his friends already wanted that of the last remaining card, but Bakugo was the only one that got it. I only had that of 5 cards in stock today. I'm sorry." Izuku basically looking down, really wanted that limited edition card, as it basically showed All Might in that of his, first hero costume back when he was still in the States after all. So of course it was a limited run. The shopkeeper can up say, "But I do have something else. It's not, it's not hero related or All Might related, but it is a limited edition card that a lot of people, especially in this day and age, would kill for. Only 3 prints remaining, to be honest, and I'm lucky to have at least one of them. It was to be a bonus prize for anybody that could solve that of a trivia question involving All Might, actually. I gave this one to Bakugo tried answering, but unfortunately, he may be an All Might fan, but he doesn't really know much about the guy." Izuku saying, "Yeah, sounds like Kachan. But you're just giving it to me? I mean, it wouldn't feel right if I didn't, at least try and answer the question." Saying, it's alright. Nobody actually bothered, basically, answering the question. Or bother even answering the right one. Izuku saying, "What was the question?" The man couldn't help but smile, saying, "Who was All Might's first sidekick?" Izuku saying, "It's obvious. It's David Shields. Back in that of the United States. Across Japan, right?" Saying, "Correct, and I'm surprised that you know this." Izuku saying, you're a big All Might fanboy, if I recall. Not even Bakugo knew about that of David Shield. Everybody always goes to that of his current sidekick being Sir Night-Eye. Or ex-sidekick, I should say." Izuku saying, what was that? Never mind. You'll hear about it on the news later on. Here." Heading to the back, before opening up that of a case, and then handing the card towards Izuku. As he looks at the card, and he notices that it's not a hero card at all. It's something different. It's something that he has seen across the card shop a lot, back when he was a kid after all. It's a current card game that has been quite popular all across Japan for the past 10 years, actually. It's even starting to gain that of notoriety in that of the United States as well. This is a Cardfight Vanguard card. Noticing that of the figure in front of on the card, as it being that of a man wearing that of white armor, wearing that also under the armor being that of a skin-tight blue leotard with that of glowing blue lines running around that of the body, as the pieces of the white armor are basically all spiky and bladed. Also, he wields that of a large long sword with that of a diamond-shaped curved tip, as he's standing in that of a wide open wasteland. Izuku, a little confused, looking back at that of the shop owner, saying, "What is this?" Saying, "Man, kids these days, especially little kids. This is one of the most rarest cards in Cardfight Vanguard, otherwise known as Blaster Blade, a Royal Paladin, part of the Royal Paladin clan of United Sanctuary." Izuku saying, "Blaster Blade and Vanguard." The card owner saying, Cardfight Vanguard is a popular card game that's been really popular lately. Almost a lot of kids be playing it. I even hear that a few pros are starting to get into it too. They've even started up tournaments too. Sooner or later, they'll even start having that of clubs for junior high schools and high schools as well. The card you see here is one of the original first print cards of Blaster Blade, one of the faces of this card game after all. Not only that, it's also mimicking the exact same shape and form that in the anime. There used to be only that of, 100 cards, but now there's only that of 3 remaining that are still in somewhat good condition. This was one of the 3. Nearly cost me a fortune, but luckily I didn't have to. With it, after hearing this, Izuku looking at the card saying, "He looks like a hero." Within, saying, "Well, most Vanguard cards are heroes. Some are villains, some in the military, and some just living their lives, trying to survive. The lore of Planet Cray is quite something, if I do say so." With Izuku kind of interested and quite in depth in listening into that of the card shop owner's words on the lore of Vanguard. Within, Izuku putting his hand on that of the card. Before then, a bright white glow begins to come from the card. If even blinding that of the shop owner. And as for Izuku, he still continues looking. Before then, the card disappears, and soon after, something materializes under that of Izuku. It almost looks like that of what you would see from that of magic anime or fantasy anime, like a spell circle, before in front of him, showing that of the logo of the Royal Paladin clan. Floating in front of him before 3 of them circle around him. And then Izuku began to change and began to shift. As his body grows a lot taller, his clothes that he was wearing, which was basically that of a little blue t-shirt with that of gray jeans and his signature red boots, are gone. And now is currently that of the same height, or at least that of 2 inches taller than that of the shop owner. His clothing is that of all blue. He wears that of white armor, spiked up on that of the shoulder guards, waist guard, and that of the chest plate, with even that of a forward helmet with that of a red jewel in the center. As then, looking closely at that of the face, it goes from one face to another, and that other face being Izuku's. Before then, his messy green hair soon basically comes out of that of the the spiked white forehead protector, and his right hand is that of a white longsword, within the center being that of a red jewel as well, like that of the forehead protector. As normally it looks on the edges of the blade that it looks normal, but when he reaches the tip, it goes out into that of a hexagonal shape before curving back into that of the blade. As then, the light finally dies down, with even the shopkeeper is completely, utterly shocked. Within, standing in front of him, is that of Blaster Blade. However, a different looking Blaster Blade, as this Blaster Blade looks like that of the same little boy that he knows all too familiar. Within saying, little Midoriya? Is that you? Within, opening his eyes, showing that of his emerald green eyes. And if you look closely, you can even still see that of his diamond-shaped freckles. Within, blinking multiple times before realizing, what's going on? And looking at the shopkeep saying, Mr. Hamada, why do you seem smaller than me? Saying, kid, you told me that you have a quirk, right? Saying, yeah, but I never knew on. But then, before he could finish, he realized what's in his right hand, as it being Blaster Blade's sword, as he drops it saying, "What? Why do I have this? I as it makes a loud clang on the ground. Hell, you can even see that of small spiderweb cracks given on how heavy it is. As the shopkeep scene is saying, "Oh man, that's definitely going to be a huge dent on my income." With then saying, sorry, what the heck is going on?" Within soon, a few other kids basically coming in as they look like at least out of 13 to possibly 14 years old, basically junior high students. As then, one of the kids saying, "Hey, Mr. Hamura," we're within another one of the kids saying, "Holy crap, is that a Blaster Blade cosplay?" Within, the confused 10-year-old and that of the confused shopkeep couldn't help but look at the kids. Within, Mr. Hamura saying, well, technically, no, it's within." Soon, Izuku saying, I'm not a cosplayer, I'm just a kid." Within, soon, one say, "Wait, a kid? Wait, is that your quirk or something?" With then Izuku wondering, my quirk?" Within the other one saying, "Yeah, hey, it could be his quirk. Heck, maybe he can basically mimic and look like that of characters from Vanguard." But then saying, "Oh, that'd be so cool. But I doubt it's real. I mean, come on. It's probably just some illusion quirk basically making him look like this after all. Come on, kid. I know it's cool and all wanting to look like the characters from Cardfight Vanguard, but..." Within, as the 13-year-old kid basically puts his hand on Izuku's shoulder, as he begins to feel that of the shoulder guard, saying, "That's real." Within, seeing that of Izuku's other armor, and then looking at that of the sword on the ground, saying, "That's Blaster Blade's sword, and it looks like, did he just make a dent in that of the floor?" Within, saying, it really did, didn't it? Oh god, how much is that gonna cost me for repairs?" With then, soon, the other kid saying, "Holy crap, he really did become Blaster Blade." Within, Izuku utterly confused, thinking, is this my quirk? Did I just become a character on a playing card? But could I? Within, looking at the sword, as soon as he picks it up, he thinks that it was going to be heavy as that of a, refrigerator, given that this is still a 10-year-old Izuku. However, once he picks it up, it's almost light as a feather, like it weighs basically barely anything. Within, Mr. Hamura seeing that of the 10-year-old looking at the sword reverently, saying, that thing must weigh basically over 10, no, maybe even 20 tons. And yet, Izuku is able to bring it up like it's nothing, like he's just picking up that of a stick sword. Within, the card owner's shopkeep can help but say, if this kid is able to become that of creatures from Cardfight Vanguard, and given the lore that wraps around those characters from the planet Cray, then, as the shopkeep eyes couldn't help but widen, looking back at all of the most powerful units and creatures from Cardfight Vanguard, as in some of their lore descriptions, some of them have the power to literally destroy the planet Cray as a whole, which in Cardfight Vanguard, planet Cray is basically 5 times bigger than that of Earth itself, given the size of certain, units from that of each and every clan. Within, he couldn't help but blink multiple times saying, Izuku. Within, the green net boy looking at that of the shopkeep, as that of Mr. Homura speaking up saying, is your mom nearby? Within saying, yeah, actually. She decided to do some, shopping, so I came out here to get the limited edition card. So, within, as Mr. Homura couldn't help but sigh out of relief saying, oh, thank God. I was really not wanting to basically close down the shop, especially since I need to make a call and see how much repairing those cracks would be. Still looking at that of the crack dent in that of his, floor, is still wincing a bit. Before then, the doors open once again, as then soon Inko basically comes in, as she's still the same, well, green-haired woman. However, she's starting to, well, pudge out, at least in some areas actually, but it's barely noticeable. Within, she's saying, "Izuku, are you done? Did you?" As then, looking around, seeing that of the middle school kids, the shop's owner, and also Izuku. However, she didn't notice, but then saying, "I'm sorry, I'm guessing you must be a cosplayer for Vanguard?" Within, Izuku saying, "Mommy, it's me." Within, hearing that voice, within, hearing that of Mommy, as soon, Inko blinks multiple times, looking back at that of the suited wearing Izuku, before tears begin to ball out, saying, "Izuku!" As then, the two kids nearly got knocked over by that of the concerned and worried parent. Within, she basically clings onto that of Izuku, even though his entire body is basically composed of white spiky-like armor. It seemed like she didn't even care, saying, "What has happened to you? What has happened to my baby?" Within, Izuku saying, I don't know, I just touched a card," and within, soon, Homura spoke it up saying, "Ma'am, I think I have a theory. I think your son's quirk reacted to one of the cards from Cardfight Vanguard, actually." Within, blinking multiple times, saying, "What?" As soon, she begins to remember all those years, 5 years back, when they went to that of the Quirk doctor, that they said that there has to be a trigger for her son. They didn't know what that trigger even was, though. They tried literally everything on what the trigger could be, from fire, water, air, electricity, earth, metals, plants. They couldn't bring in that of dangerous chemicals and other stuff because that would be too dangerous. Because, of course, it's too dangerous, and they wouldn't bring it into that of a hospital, of all things. But even so, they never really thought of bringing things that are so simple, like that of, well, toys, video games, or maybe even within looking back at that of her baby boy, within saying, "Izuku, is that truly you?" Saying, "Of course it's me, Mama. Why would it be? Why wouldn't it be?" Within, she begins tearing up again, saying, "You awakened your quirk." Within, Izuku saying, My quirk?" Izuku felt like something just switched in his head, something that he never thought would ever happen. As now, as he feels taller, he grows taller and even has that of a big sword in his hands. When he saw Blaster Blade in that card, he didn't see just that of a simple card. He saw a hero in the flesh, and now he has become that hero. Within, Izuku also could help but tear up, saying, "I've awakened my quirk. I can be a hero now. Isn't that right?" Within, soon, Inko couldn't help but cry even more. Within, Mr. Homura, as the guy basically wearing that of glasses and getting a better look at him, as those glasses are basically blocking out his eyes entirely, as they're basically swirling glasses, as he has that of spiky black hair too, and wearing an, pink apron over that of his, regular clothes, actually. Within, saying, "I would say so. If you looking like Blaster Blade, and that sword is definitely real alongside that armor, you could definitely become a hero, Izuku." Within, Izuku saying, "I can I?" Within, Izuku couldn't help but smile and enjoy the fact that he is able to be a hero. The very next day, after school ended for Izuku, Inko took that of Izuku to that of the Quirk doctor. However, it wasn't the same Quirk doctor from before, actually, 5 years ago. They only recommended that doctor due to, Izuku used to be friends with that of his grandson, otherwise known as the boy with that of the red wings, known as Tsubasa. But instead, they see that of another Quirk doctor, which seems a lot more younger, and was thinking about testing other forms of types of quirks out there. As the young doctor can up and speak, saying, so you're saying that your son's quirk reacts to playing cards? Saying, yes, that's what my son said. He touched a card from Cardfight Vanguard, saying, oh, Cardfight Vanguard? I actually play that around my spare time too. Saying, interesting. Does it just work with Vanguard cards or any type of cards? Like poker cards, Uno cards, Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Within Izuku saying, actually I tried some of them before. I even tried that of my old superhero, pro hero cards like All Might and Endeavor. And none of them worked, except, within soon, Inko basically pulls out that of Blaster Blade's limited edition card. Within soon, looking saying Blaster Blade, and it's the original anime print. I'll be damn. Within soon, she's saying, now remember, Izuku, you have to think hard and think strong to make sure that you get out of it after all. Remember to go back to who you were. Within saying, right, mama. As then, soon, Izuku holds on to that other card. Before then, the same bright light, the same spell circle on the bottom, and the same symbol of Royal Paladins materialize in front of him, turning him into Blaster Blade. But then the doctor saying, well, I'll be damned. He really did become Blaster Blade. You do not see this every day. Within, going to that of his clipboard saying, by the looks of it, your son's quirk is similar to that of an emitter, but on his registry, he is a quirk, but it's also a mix of transformable and mutant type quirks. Within, Inko saying, yes, that's what the other doctor about that of, 5 years ago said the same. Even when they did test on it, they didn't know what to do. Saying, figures, old school doctors figure that every quirk is basically tied to only one type, and there are times when there's a mix of two. They never really expect that there are three. But actually, lately, quirks have evolved so much that they can become that of all three quirks. Sure, it's tied to that of the whole doomsday singularity theory, but I'm not a big fan of that. All I know is that when quirks are a mix of all three, it can change quite a bit of the person's personality. Do you feel any different, Izuku saying? I feel the same, but there is a part of me that feels like wanting to aim for justice and protect others and support those around me as well. Within saying, that's probably the chivalry of Blaster Blade basically affecting you. That could be that of the effect of your quirk affecting your mind as well. Possibly, any unit that you become, their lore and personality would affect you in combat. But then, Izuku saying, wait, really? Then, Izuku a little bit worried, as then, Inko saying, remember Izuku, turn back to normal, saying, right. As for that of a good 2 or 3 minutes, Izuku goes back to normal, as then, he drops the card, then saying, fascinating. I'm guessing once you touch a Vanguard card, you can't turn it. You automatically transform, am I guessing? Saying, yes, actually. I tried it so many times, and it took me a while to basically go back to normal. And let's just say, yes, thinking about yesterday as he's walking in the streets with so many people looking at him, so many people being at all at him, some girls sending past to that of a 10-year-old, even though he looks like a grown-ass man. And even one time when a few pro heroes thought that he was a villain or a vigilante. Within, the doctor saying, this would be a problem. If you can't, now I can actually understand where the mutation quirk comes in too. You can't turn it off. You can't turn off when you try to use your quirk, or rather, you haven't learned how to turn it off yet. So I guess it would fall under the categories of emitter, mutation, and transformation quirk. Truly something else. Within, basically layering down, saying, okay, I think we got the bigger picture of it. Within, soon, Izuku basically looking like he's about to pass out as Inko basically catches her son, within realizing, oh my, that might have put a huge strain on Izuku. Saying he was like this yesterday too when he went back to normal. I thought that it was just the strain of the day, but it could be tied to his quirk. Within, picking up that of Blaster Blade, saying, Blaster Blade is an important card in Cardfight Vanguard. It is the face of the series, but it's also a grade 2 card. The only way to reach grade 2 is to basically come from that of grade 0 to grade 1 and to grade 2. There's also grade 3 and grade 4 as well. By my estimates, if I'm by theory, not by fact, it could be your son's quirk. If he transforms into any grade higher than that of 0 or 1, it may drain his energy a lot more than any other grade. There could be a way for him to mitigate this by either working out or doing that of more stamina-based training. But until then, I can't really say for sure. I think it's best that we do more tests. Within, soon, Inko saying, okay, will this saying, don't worry, your family insurance pays for all of this testing. After all, with a quirk like this, no, there isn't any way that this kid isn't going to become a great hero. But to be honest, within, Izuku hearing those words, saying hero, but then the doctor basically backpedals, saying, Cardfight Vanguard is nothing to scoff at too. Sure, pro heroes are basically the number one profession and ideal career for anybody growing up with a powerful quirk. But to be honest, Cardfight Vanguard is just as awesome. It's just as cool, and just as amazing as being a pro. Not to mention, sure, there are rankings, but when it comes to rankings, each card fighter always tries to inspire one to reach a higher level. Not because of one person, but because of multiple people working together. Within, the doctor going down to one knee towards Izuku. If Izuku's still a little bit tired and exhausted, but he's hearing every word the doctor says, as he continues saying, Young Izuku, if you feel like it, I could teach you on what it means to be a card fighter, while also helping you with your quirk. How does that sound? As the doctor giving off that of a cheerful smile, with Izuku still wanting to be a hero like that of All Might, but is also willing to see what it's like to be a card fighter as well. With Izuku nodding, as then the doctor saying, excellent. Come by here at least every two days actually. One on the weekdays and one on the weekends. I'll bring up that of doctor's excuses for that of your schoolwork. And if you could, Miss Midoriya, could you make sure to ask for that of his homework? Saying, of course, I want to make sure that my baby's properly okay. But then the doctor saying, good. Well then, I'll see you guys next week. As the doctor waves them off, but then thinking, to think, a quirk that basically allows people to become units from Cardfight Vanguard. This world is truly fascinating. Within, the young man pulls out that of a card, as it looks quite sinister actually, as it looks like that of a white dragon with red chains all over it, saying, when you agree, my avatar. 3 years later. Since that day, Izuku has been studying and working on that of trying to develop his quirk, understanding it better. By doing so, by also understanding Cardfight Vanguard as well. By the card game, all players start with that of grade 0 cards at the beginning of the game. After that, they can bring out that of grade 1s to that of their field. They always stand to basically gain higher ranks in each of the card fight, in each card fight in each turn. The Vanguard must have that of higher grades each turn for that of the player to summon that of the same grade onto the field. Not only that, there are also rear guard units. The forward rear guards being the right and left of the Vanguard, and the back rear guard, which act as support for that of the Vanguard. The rear guard can also empower that of the front rear guard and the Vanguard as well. Not only that, the Vanguard, when they attack, the player who's attacking must do that of a drive check, which gain that of triggers, from that of heal triggers, stand triggers, draw triggers, and critical triggers. Stand triggers are basically orange, allowing that of a Vanguard that already attacked can stand again and attack again. Draw triggers is just as the name, which are basically blue, allow a player to basically draw another card while in the middle of an attack. Heal triggers, as it states, can basically heal from that of damage taken by that of other players and opponents. And critical triggers basically give that of a second damage output to that of their opponents as well. There are also other ways to play that of Cardfight Vanguard, especially given all of the, units, decks, and also effects. Each card has its own special ability and counterblast as well. Special abilities are basically automatic. They always activate as soon as you summon them to the field. And counterblast are basically abilities you can activate from the very beginning. Not only that, there's also keywords that each and every clan has of their own. Each one is different from one another, and those keywords can basically change the outcome of a battle. While Izuku was understanding the Cardfight Vanguard, it was the same way as him understanding his quirk at the same time. When he transforms, he starts out as that of a grade 0, which allows him to basically move around, do as he please. However, he can also turn into that of a grade 1 when he gains enough energy to do so. Almost like that of a charge bar in that of, video games actually, where he's able to become that of a grade 1, and so on and so forth with grade 2 and 3. As for grade 4s, let's just say that's easier said than done. Grade 4s are known to do that of generation strides, which is one of the most powerful abilities in Cardfight Vanguard. The generation stride, you can only use grade 4 only once per turn. After that, you can't use that card again. Well, you probably can, but it will be another turn. When Izuku tried generation striding and bringing out that and becoming a grade 4, let's just say he put so much strain on his body that he nearly was in a coma, actually. Luckily, he only passed out for at least a good 5 minutes. Since then, his doctor basically told him to not generation stride into that of grade 4s until his body is properly able to hold the strain of becoming a grade 4. Since then, Izuku has never used grade 4s when becoming that of his units. Not only that, he can also learn that he can, basically guard from that of attacks as well, using that of his rear guard units, and bring out that of guards as well. However, even though he can't become grade 4s, he can still use grade 4s for generation guarding, which are always seen as that of absolute guards in the game. But even so, this is always a last resort unless he really needs to. Because of understanding that of Vanguard through that of understanding his quirk, let's just say Izuku began to become a huge fan of Cardfight Vanguard. At the age of 11, he began playing with people at that of the card shop, actually. He started with that of Royal Paladins, given that's the card where Blaster Blade's clan comes from, after all. When he started understanding on how Royal Paladins work, they basically focus more on supporting one another, while that of the supporting units support that of the Vanguard, making them basically the perfect team, almost like that of a hero agency in a way, as Izuku likes to put it that way. Since then, he made it that of a pretty good name for himself using Royal Paladins. However, that kind of all changed during that of his 12th birthday, when he found out about that of Royal Paladins' sibling clan, otherwise known as the Shadow Paladins. The Night Order that basically dwells in the darkness, that destroys the enemies of United Sanctuary from the shadows to protect peace. At first, Izuku kind of saw, Shadow Paladins almost close to that of villains after all. However, when that of Mr. Homura basically told him the lore of Planet Cray from that of the anime Cardfight Vanguard, that Shadow Paladins aren't really that evil. I mean, they seem evil, but in reality, they're just an order whose duty is to protect the innocent. They basically keep their hands dirty just so people can be safe in society as well. They may be burdened with those pains and suffering, but that doesn't mean that they had to let it bog them down. As long as people can smile, that's all that matters. At first, it was difficult for Izuku to basically, handle Shadow Paladins, as he kind of hated how they played, especially the original Shadow Paladin deck, where it focuses more on basically sacrificing your units to empower that of the Vanguard after all. Basically weakening that of your rear guard to make your Vanguard the more overwhelming and overpowered force after all. Izuku didn't like that at first. Hell, he still doesn't, actually. But he did realize that Shadow Paladins did have other decks out there. So he tried scouring around and looking. Surprisingly, he found one that fits his playstyle similar to that of Shadow Paladins, but also close to that of Royal Paladins as well. That being Dragon Sorcery, the Shadow Paladins. When it comes to Dragon Sorcerers of the Shadow Paladin clan, they focus more on giving support and also gaining more power through that of the rear guard. Reason being is that sacrificed rear guard units can return back to that of the rear guard and support the Vanguard after being sacrificed, making it basically useful for them to empower both their Vanguard and support them at the same time. This was basically the perfect deck for the Shadow Paladin clan for Izuku. And since then, he's basically gotten good with both Royal Paladins and Shadow Paladins. Next up, Izuku didn't just stop there. This was also the time when he brought out that of another clan, the last Paladins of United Sanctuary, the Gold Paladins, which was basically Izuku's strongest deck ever. The Gold Paladins were basically a mix of both Shadow Paladins and Royal Paladins all growing together, their strengths and weaknesses becoming one. The strengths of supporting that of the rear guard through that of the Shadow Paladins, the strengths of sacrificing while also empowering the rear guard from that of Shadow Paladins, but all molded together into that of a new form called Liberation. Basically, Gold Paladins focuses more on supporting that of the Vanguard through that of the rear guard and dropped in that of retired units as well. The loss of fallen allies empowered the remaining ones, reaching a new dawn to a better future. With this deck, Izuku was considered to be unstoppable. No matter who ever stood against him with that, when he brought out that of his Gold Paladins, you know that things were going to get serious. And understanding Vanguard, Izuku took on that of local card shop tournaments, such as the card shop he always visits, another tournament from that of a pretty famous card shop in Tokyo, mainly in Shibuya, and a pretty popular tournament in Tokyo as well, in that of Akihabara, where there Izuku's name began to be known all across Japan and mainly in Tokyo as well. Hell, even when he was going into that of Aldera, the same crappy ass school, let's just say people began to change their minds on how they saw Izuku. Not just because of his quirk and no longer being considered quirkless or useless in some people's eyes. Well, a select people's eyes after all. He was seen as somebody who would become great, not just as that of a pro, but also as a pro card fighter. Even Izuku began doing that of online tournaments from all across the world, globally. His name begins to ring all across, everywhere. Nobody would not know the name Izuku Midoriya, or rather, his screen name, the King of Paladins. And this is his story on how the world's greatest card fighter became one of the world's greatest heroes. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. This was more of an introductory chapter to that of Izuku's quirk and also to that of Cardfight Vanguard. I know some people still know about the card game, but it's nothing wrong with giving a little bit of a refresher from here and there after all. So yeah, at any rate, next part will go fully into canon and go straight into that of Izuku's training for that of UA after all. Not to mention, I'll probably put that of Izuku's avatars for each of the clans in that of the community tab, so you know on who is his personal favorites and the ones that normally will get more spotlight than the other cards as well. So yeah, at any rate, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification, keep to date my videos upload to the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, my gaming channel, my other channel, my side channel, and my Patreon, alongside my Cash App, all linked in the description below. So, with all that said, this is Leon Mookie, signing out. Later, guys, and hope you all take care. You know what to do, Shiro.
Hi, everyone. This is White Fox. If you liked Leon's video, click the video on the left to see the most recent one. And if you want to see more of this, click the subscribe button and notification bell and check out his playlist. If you still haven't subscribed, do so in the center. With that said, I hope to see you again on my love's channel. Bye!